We are live, just a few minutes late, live on Talking Who.
And it's my fault. I got lost. I get lost everywhere. I need a blue box. That's why the doctor has a blue box here.
I'm
difficult.
Elisar Cabrera, and we have a very special guest, who you all know as Annie Fairfoul, who has been contributing fantastic videos to Talking Who over the past few months, but now flown all the way from Canada just to be here tonight on your birthday for Talking Who. I mean, what dedication is that?
The only reason I'm here.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
You've been celebrating?
Oh yes. I'll try not to slur.
So guys, just our social network stuff. YouTube.com, Those Video Guys TV. Please hit subscribe. Our website is now talkingwho.com. Facebook.com/talkingwho, Twitter.com/talkingwho. We will be reading out various tweets that we might receive over the course of the show, so please get them over to us.
Do we have Google Plus?
We have Google Plus, but we're not running it as far as we're not doing a hangout this evening, no. But speaking of Twitter, though, we've got Tom Walton saying, "I'm watching the lovely Annie Fairfoul in a few minutes on Talking Who." Well, we're now live, so.
Now you're watching.
Now you're
Tom.
watching.
Hello, Tom.
And Bluebox99 says she can't get it to play. I would just suggest is refresh if you've got the page up before we went live and it's not showing up. Just press the refresh button.
And let us know if it works.
That should be working. So hopefully. Oh look! Well, we've got people now in the chat room, in the YouTube chat room.
Oh,
so that means we are obviously live.
We've got a bit of delay on ourselves.
Here we go. Yes. Okay. So, yours creative says, "Oh my God, it's Wednesday and Talking Who is online."
That's the idea.
T Chalky, which is AKA Tom Orton, wants to know if you were drinking Pimm's for your birthday.
No, a very good bottle of wine. Sorry, had Pimm's later.
Doctor Who con fan says, "Hi Annie, good luck."
Oh, thank you very much.
So, let's before we crack on into our reviews, let's chat a bit about you and your fandom with Doctor Who. When did you first discover Doctor Who?
Okay, I'm odd because I'm a Canadian, so for me, Doctor Who started with Peter Davison.
Okay,
who was on briefly for a few months, few stories, in the early 80s, and then he disappeared, and I actually got a chance to speak to him the other day, and I said to him, I always wondered after you disappeared, because you're a British actor, so at that point we had no internet, no way of following anybody, so I said to him, I just always wondered, I thought, I hope that nice young man gets work. And he laughed. Well, he did get work.
Actually, he was not only that, but also before he became the Doctor, he was probably he was more well known than Tom Baker was when he first started being the Doctor.
All Creatures Great and Small.
For More Creatures Great and Small, absolutely.
See, I was a little young.
Yeah.
Or I was a little disinterested. My mother had a crush on everybody on that show.
So is Peter Davison your Doctor? Do you consider him your Doctor? Will you always look at his stories more fondly than anybody else?
I will tell you what I told him. He was my Doctor, and then I was introduced to Patrick Troughton, who became my Doctor, so now Peter is my first Doctor. He grumbled a bit of that. He took it in his stride. He grumbled a bit. I don't think it's kosher to switch doctors mid-stride.
Well, they always say you have your Doctor and that's your first one, usually.
Yeah, well, it was definitely Peter Davison until I saw Patrick Troughton and his performance.
Any particular story of Patrick Troughton's?
The first one I saw was Tomb of the Cybermen.
Okay, yeah.
And I didn't quite get it at first. It was so slow.
Yeah.
But then I watched it again and I got the hang of the pacing.
Yeah. And
an appreciation for the lighting and the acting and the little bits they put in. And the fact that it's not like it's shot today in bits and pieces. where you shoot 3 lines of dialogue. You said, call cut, cut. Okay, we're going to do CGI in there. Now we're going to do page 42. Whereas those guys, they did it like a play.
Oh, you had one take. I mean,
yeah.
And that's why you have William Hartnell kind of stumbles a lot on his line, because they didn't have time to do retakes.
Yeah.
You had to just do it all in one take, and if you got the line wrong, you got the line wrong. That was the line that was going to go into the script, into the final version.
And the monsters that you got, they were there waiting to come out from behind the scenery. It was actually...
they were in shadows.
Yeah, they were in shadows, and that's why black and white made so much sense, because those rough-looking monsters of the 70s looked much better in black and white.
Yeah.
So, that's my opinion of my doctors.
Good. And a particular favourite Peter Davison story?
Oh, that's difficult, because I think Peter suffered from a lack of good writing.
Yeah.
Because it's known that at the time the BBC was just throwing young writers at Doctor Who, throw it at the walls to see what sticks. So it's difficult to come up with anything. Kinder was a good one.
Kinder, yeah.
Save for Tegan. The rest of it was fine. The rest of it was fine. I don't know why everybody else hates it, but the flying ships in space, what was that
Enlightenment?
called? Enlightenment.
Oh, I loved that one.
Yeah?
Well, no, I loved the ships. I just thought, what a beautiful design.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
They were great concept. The ships just looked gorgeous. The costumes and everything. It just, from a production point of view, it's very beautiful to watch.
Yes, it didn't suffer from too many companions, and the annoying ones were sort of given as few lines as possible and put in the background, and the story and the Doctor came to the fore.
Yeah.
So
out of Blue Box 99 says she can now see us.
Hello, Blue. My favorite Blue.
She was trying to use her iPad. Yeah, I'm not quite sure that it works on iPad, to be honest, because a live stream we're using Flash technology, and I know that iPad doesn't really like Flash technology. So companions then for Peter Davison. You're saying you were talking about lots of bad ones and not liking stories because of Tegan.
She said herself in a commentary that, and I think it was a commentary on Kinda, because she did quite a lot.
Yeah.
And she became an agent afterwards. So she said that she caught herself acting all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing you never want to do, because that means you're not acting.
Right.
And so she said it best, when she put it that way, was Nyssa, a non-character. She had one episode, and it was a historical, where she played 2 characters. And you could see that she had potential, but they never really utilized it.
Yeah.
And then there was Adric. What can you say?
Adric fans, come on, let's get your messages in the YouTube chat room. We want to know that you're watching, because
there were moments with him and Peter Davison where Peter Davison was able to lift him.
Yeah. And
carry him along, but a lot of the time he was playing the whiny kid.
Do you think because obviously Peter Davison was actually very young, he was the youngest Doctor. If he had been an older character, do you think Adric would have worked better? Then you would have had more of sort of
Absolutely.
William Hartnell Susan relationship, as opposed to, because he looked quite young. He couldn't be that. He didn't necessarily look like a mentor.
Absolutely, because you can see that in the previous Doctor,
Tom Baker
and Adric.
Yeah.
That was a much tighter relationship. The acting was better.
Adric was looking for like a father figure to sort of look up to.
Yeah. Speaking of good Peter Davison ones, Castor Valva, another one that gets
the first one,
a bad rap.
Yeah.
But I think the concept was really brilliant, and it may not have carried off quite as well.
Yeah.
There were some gaffes in there, but I think just the concept of using that particular painting and building an entire show around a painting, was really something.
Yeah, no, sure. Again, that's an example of what the BBC does best, is that they can always do production value when it comes to costumes and sets, and you know, and Castrovalva did have all that. I
see a day when Doctor Who DVDs come out, we can slip them into our computers, and then we can play with the production values ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that's going to happen. Like the Invasion, with the cartoon version of the characters. I think we're going to be able to do it ourselves within the next 10 years.
Doctor Who Con fan says Adric is a whinging teenager who clearly shouldn't be on screen. Poor old Adric.
Think of Peter Davison. Who said it? John Nathan Turner? No. Our recent producer.
Stephen Moffat. Russell T. Davies.
Russell T. Davies. I knew there were 3 names. Russell T. Davies. When he did the 8-minute segment.
Yeah.
With the 2 doctors.
Yeah.
And he said he got a little choked up watching it, because finally Peter Davison had an excellent script, excellent lighting, really good direction, and he was able to be the Doctor that he should have been.
Should have been, yeah.
And he himself said he'd love another crack at it.
Well, of course they do in the audio plays as well, you know, and Colin Baker, his stories in the audio plays, some people are saying, are actually the best Doctor Who audio plays that you can listen to. You know, despite the fact that his tenure as a Doctor is supposed to be considered one of the least successful, he's supposedly the best of the radio Doctor Who's. The Big Finish Doctor Who's, yeah.
Well, that's something.
So
saw him the other night too. The other day too.
Indeed.
Yes, I got taken off to Collectomania.
Collectomania, just this past weekend.
Yes, it was the coldest I've been in years.
And you're from Canada.
And I'm from Canada.
So it must have been very cold.
Oh, it was a little bit brutal. It was in an open stadium.
Oh, really?
Yeah, wow. Wide open stadium, and I felt really sorry for the collection of actors who were outside in the mall area.
Yeah.
Signing, because it was only the big guys who were in behind and
well, it's a strange place to have a convention then.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. Well, for size it was fine. For flow, it was fine. But that's only because of the number of people. Had they had a hot sunny day, it would have been almost impossible to move.
Right, of course, yeah. So, on this show today, we'll be doing the review of the Ace box set that just came out recently. The Ace Adventures, which is a Dragonfire and Happiness Patrol. We will also be hearing from Barry Aldridge with his top 5 and his top 5 Matt Smith stories to date. But we're going to kick things off with a review, and as it's going to be the 11th Hour convention next weekend, we thought we'd review the 11th Hour story. We'll go into why Sean's not here later on, because I know he's usually on the show, but unfortunately he's just been really busy with the 11th Hour, so he couldn't make it tonight.
I'm not Sean.
It says not Sean. Sean hasn't had a quick section.
I don't have a funny hat
on. But yeah, he's usually here doing the reviews with us, and unfortunately wasn't able to because of the preparations going on for next weekend. But anyway, here's a brief clip, the very first moment we see the Doctor. So, were you very excited when this story first aired?
Well, this was interesting because I had 2 children to watch it with, and we had to save up for Christmas. We couldn't watch it at the time that it came out.
Right.
So there was a lot of anticipation for it. And my youngest adored it. My eldest was a holdout for David Tennant.
Yep.
But my immediate thought was, this is a child. This is
the actor himself, you mean?
Yeah, no, not the actor himself. How he was playing the doctor.
Playing.
Right from that first sort of yippee yikes and whatever he was saying as he was passing over London.
Yeah.
And down to the fish fingers and custard. It was all very childlike, and I thought, we haven't seen a doctor begin like that since Patrick Troughton.
Yeah.
Who began very silly and very awkward.
Well, because obviously the previous regeneration with David Tennant from Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant was asleep for most of his regeneration, and it was sort of left to Rose to actually carry the story. And this was sort of bringing it back to the fact that the Doctor can function, but he's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Sylvester McCoy, of course, in the Time in the Rani was exactly the same. He's just not, something's not quite aligned, and he can try and do things, but it might not necessarily be correct, or it might not. He's still in process of regeneration.
And Peter Davison's Doctor, the Fifth Doctor, was the same way. Tom Baker's Doctor was silly
for a few minutes.
Yeah. But he didn't carry it on as Patrick Troughton's Doctor went through.
Yeah.
A couple of stories, maybe 3 stories, before he settled into it. And Matt Smith, has he settled?
I would like to think so. It was actually just rewatching it. I mean, I really enjoyed it the first time round, but rewatching it, I actually enjoyed it even more. Actually, it was actually good to see it again, having now had a couple of series of Matt, and just going back to the beginning and seeing what it was like, and yes, there was a sort of childlike thing about this Doctor at first, but he does immediately get you saying he's not, even though he looks young, he's a young actor, he's immediately saying, just with his interactions, I think, with people, I am an older person. I look young, but I am an older person, and listen to me. I am an authority.
And despite the childlike silliness that ran through that whole thing, he still managed to maintain that authority, which wasn't necessarily true of his predecessor.
No, where actually, I mean, having reviewed some of David Tennant's recently on the show, I remember at the time they were broadcast being somewhat annoyed by some of the things that he was doing, but even being more annoyed rewatching it, because it made it realise that actually at times he was very juvenile and very un-Doctor-like.
Particularly at the end, having to say goodbye to all his friends, and that was just like, no, the Doctor doesn't do things. And I thought it was actually a very good strategy throughout that story or two. That last 4 stories? Last 4 stories. Yeah. You began to like him less and less and less.
Yeah.
As he his personality degenerated and became more about him.
Yeah.
More all about him. The Waters of Mars was a classic example. He was going to ignore all the laws of time.
But Matt Smith sort of really asserts his version of the Doctor very, very quickly, I think. And I think you have to, if you're when you've got
And it's so much more light to it.
Yes.
This Doctor is so much lighter and airier, and it's like Christopher Eccleston started. He's just left the Time War. You get into David Tennant, who's much more fresh, but he's carrying it. He's carrying it through the whole thing.
Yeah.
To Matt's, and Matt's has obviously worked it out. You know, it's carried, but he's worked it out. And there was one, the doctor's wife.
The Doctor's wife, yeah.
Where Amy gives a throwaway line about how he killed everybody he knew. And he says, yes, well, I know, but still. But you never hear that conversation. Whereas with Tennant's character, that would have been a conversation.
Yeah. And a lot
that would have been heavy.
Would have been a heavy one, yeah. Lots of sighing and... but let's briefly clip of Amy.
That is not possible. How's that possible?
There's a perception filter all around the door. Sensed it last time I was here. Should have seen it.
That's a whole room. That's a whole room I've never even noticed.
The filter stops you noticing. Something came here a while ago to hide. It's still hiding, and you need to uncuff me now.
I don't have the key. I lost it.
How could you have lost it? Stay away from that door. Do not touch that door. Listen to me. Do not open that. Why does no one ever listen to me? Do I just have a face that nobody listens to?
Some tweets. Bluebox99 says, I love Matt Smith's way of bringing light and dark to his character. It's the change so quickly, and he's clever portraying that. Total Nerdy Bird says, with the young Amelia Pond for me to be hooked with the new Doctor. Sorry. Total Nerdy Bird says, I was a massive Tennant fan, and even though it's exciting to get a new Doctor, I was apprehensive. All it took was the first scene with the young Amelia Pond for me to be hooked with the new Doctor. His crazy energy had me addicted right from the start. So as a way of introducing a new companion, introducing her actually before she becomes a companion, as a child.
Yeah. And that showed you right off the bat, we're going to play with time.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. I think it's a time, he's a time traveler. Let's not just go from planet to planet and stay on the Earth and fight monsters.
No, it's interesting because obviously Amelia Pond, she's just a young child, and she's timeline. You think, well, actually, that's when she's that old. There's another Doctor running around. It's probably Paul McGann running around, you know, saving the Earth while she's waiting for the Doctor, her 11th Doctor to return.
Yes.
Paul McGann is off doing adventures, and yeah.
He's a lost opportunity there. Poor Paul McGann. He would have made a fabulous Doctor.
And then, of course, when she does have the adventure with the Doctor, it's probably David Tennant somewhere running around as well, because it's not until 2 years later that she then becomes the companion after the 11th hour.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bizarre thought as well.
Well, you got to think about it. All of them are on the Earth at the same time.
At the same time.
One point or another.
There must be, of course, there must be. Yeah. You know, from the Earth's point of view, obviously not from his point of view, but from the Earth's point of view, there's several Doctors running around at any particular time.
Oh yeah.
Having adventures. It's
because they've never worried about those kind of time frames.
Well, there's no such thing as continuity in Doctor Who. I mean, it's just if it doesn't work, somehow you just let it slide, and the fan will create a reason why the continuity will work for you. You know,
I created it. The multiverse. We have a multiverse, and they've said that there are more than one universes.
Well, we have that.
More than one universe.
Absolutely. But it's, yes, I mean, and it's a great way to introduce the character by having this different threads of her life being affected by the Doctor, but also starting the theme of that you'd get later with stories like The Girl Who Waited, you know, The Girl Who Waited, and it's but also that Matt Smith's Doctor somehow, for the humans, might be a disappointment. You know, he's disappointed her twice now by disappearing and not coming back for several, you know, until a leap of time later. And that's
until
going
she
to
becomes a companion, she doesn't understand why that is. Yeah,
and that's the theme that ends up running throughout the whole series. That this Doctor will try his best, but he might let you down, or you think he might let you down.
But isn't that true of every Doctor?
Indeed, but I think one of the things that some people got annoyed with the 10th Doctor was that actually he was a superhero and he would never let you down. He could do anything he wanted.
Yeah.
Especially with the sonic screwdriver, which is now the Omnitoy that can do anything you want at any particular moment. In, you know, whatever you want it to do at that particular moment, it can do it.
Can't do wood. Still cannot do wood, and should never be able to do wood.
Unless there's a lock on it.
No.
And of course, we
will not accept that.
We also get introduced to Rory, who would become the companion later.
Yeah. So
slightly in the background, but getting a sense that actually maybe he's not just a character who's going to be, this is his one story. You might actually see him later, because obviously at the very end they have the wedding dress.
Yeah, and at some point he asks her, okay, which one, the big hunky one or the funny dorky one? The funny dorky one. Really? And at the same time you realize that River's song is a part of their lives, a part of young Amy's life. Yeah. Which you don't think about for the 11th Hour, but that's exactly what's happening. So all of those characters are in that
village.
In that village, in that one point in time.
Do you think it's a shame that if Stephen Moffat had got this plan sorted out, you know, that he knew where this was going, that actually Mel's wasn't in this story, even just for one line or just to be seen in the background?
It would have been an interesting trivia bit. I don't know that they obviously they thought it through, because they had the whole arc planned.
There's a whole arc planned, yeah.
But whether or not they had all the details or enough details to be able to do that is sketchy.
Or it could have just been even referenced in a line of dialogue, you know, just something to, you know, because almost the retconning of the story in Let's Kill Hitler.
We did have her name. That's true.
Yeah, they had her name. You could have put the name somewhere.
But we didn't have Melody.
Sally Roberts 11 says it's sad though that Amy and Rory's story is coming to an end, and Goth Allwood says the temporal air traffic controllers earn their overtime stopping the Doctors colliding.
That's how they do it.
That's how they do it.
They do have a thing where they actually go through things. The TARDISes.
Maybe.
Can go through.
Yep.
Can go through things. I believe I saw that on one episode.
Andrew Oliver says the 11th Hour achieves so much in so little time, setting up recurring themes as well as characters. Well, it's a 1 hour episode, I think it is.
Yes.
It's actually longer than the usual one. And
for us it's 1 hour.
Yeah, it's but it moves along at a really good pace. Unlike some single story episodes, you get a sense that things are just being rushed. This one doesn't have that at all. It's
which is quite amazing, because they squash a lot of stuff in there.
Well, Matt Smith talks so fast.
Oh, does he not? You have to. How many times have I watched The Doctor's Wife to get all the dialogue in? Because it just moves like that.
But of course, also the setting, this little town called Ledworth. I mean, it's very John Pertwee, isn't it? It's very the 1970s little English village, and something happens.
There was a lot of ode to other Doctors, and well, particularly the second, because we have a Doctor who's Matt Smith had said that there would be no 11th Doctor if it hadn't been for Patrick Troughton.
Yeah.
And a Scottish companion.
Scottish companion, yeah.
I think it's a little love story to the second Doctor.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Actually, I tweeted Sean trying to get him to get the remaining companions from that for the 11th Hour. You know, if it's based on them, they should be there. But I didn't get very far.
Andrew Oliver then says, if one character stops for breath, another character is out of breath. It's a non-stop romp. Doctor Who Con fans says, time for a change. Goodbye, Rory and Amy. And hello to M3I0D6L. A strange YouTube name. Yeah, it's 11th Hour. I think it's great to do a rewatch. If you haven't seen it for a couple of years, do rewatch it, because it's really interesting to see it now, as we do come to the end of the Amy and Rory saga, just to watch it from the very beginning again.
Very beginning, and to I barely remember the monster story.
Yeah.
I remember meeting Amy, the coming back for her, Rory.
But
all
the
those
snake with the big teeth.
Yeah, not so much. I remember the relationships, which is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
So that was.
And actually, the other potential suitor in her life, we've not seen it since either.
No, he's gone.
No, he's gone.
Well, she married Rory, so he better be gone.
Maybe there could have been a story there. You know. A love triangle in the TARDIS.
That would have been a bit like The Girl Who Waited.
Yeah. So anyway, carrying on the theme of Matt Smith, we're going to hand over to Barry Aldridge. Barry's done his top 5 Matt Smith stories.
Hello, Barry.
And he's going to run them down 5 all the way up to number 1. So we'll hand over to Barry.
Hey guys, hello, welcome to another Talking Who Top 5 with Barry Aldridge here. Hooray! Now this week I'm here to talk about my top 5 favourite Matt Smith stories. Now Matt Smith I've rated as my 3rd favourite Doctor, so it's a good choice though that they've given me though this week, which is absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately I won't have time though to put pictures of the certain episodes though this week, so you have to remember all the stories and that, and we'll have a bit of a discussion and so forth. So here we are. Here is my top 5 favourite Matt Smith stories. And also, by the way, 2-parters count as one story. So if I mention, say, like for example, The Impossible Planet and Day of the Moon, that counts as one story. Just as a perfect example, because that was a 2-parter back in Series 6. There probably won't be too many 2-parters though in this list. So there we go. At number 5, I'm going to give it to Amy's Choice, which was episode 7 or 8 in Series 5. Yeah, basically, the Doctor goes back and sees Amy and Rory back on Earth, where Amy is pregnant and all that sort of. Or is it? And then they sort of fall into a sleep, wake up, and end up in the TARDIS. And then they go back to sleep. And they find out it's someone called the Dream Lord that's trying to tell them to escape a game of like mind games, Willis sort of thing, real sort of like mind game sort of type stuff and that. I think it's Toby Whitehouse who's written this episode. I thought this was a very, very good psychological episode, really, really good. I thought the Dream Lord reminded me of the Celestial Toy Maker, but it's really, really thought out. I really like the ideas and that about Amy, about choosing who she loves and that. You know, it was a very, very interesting sort of concept. So I think this was a really, really good story, really, really thought out, and definitely a really good one though from Series 5. Really thought out altogether. At number 4, I have to give it to a 2-parter that I absolutely really do love though, really. I mean, at first I'd kind of hated it a little bit, even though I'm not a big fan of science, but I do like how the smartness and it comes into it. It is in fact The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon, which I mentioned as an example, the opener though for Series 6. What I liked about this though really is the ideas and how it relates into what could be the story arc though of Series 6. It really pulls you in and that sort of thing as well. While the Silence I still don't think are a strong villain, but I like how they are built in all the presence in that. You know, about you're wondering what the hell's going on in that, and it really pulls you in on a ride though this 2-parter. It's really, really good, really thought out, really well executed. Brilliantly written by Stephen Moffat, I have to say. It just really captivated you really quite well though, really. And I think, you know, the using the same actor who was the FBI agent, you know, his son though as his younger self and his dad as his older self. You see the dad first of all, and then you see his son, the younger self, later on, and it's a nice little converse twist that it isn't all a straight line. It can be a wibbly wobbly liney sort of thing, that you can actually meet certain people in that, which is actually really cool. And I liked how it was. I mean, it was a really well directed episode, I have to say, and it was good that they used the locations really, really well on this one, so I really did enjoy that one. At number 3, I'm going to give it to The Wedding of River Song, another sort of silent story. I have to say, it is really, really good, really thought out. And I felt like as a finale, it was better than the Series 5 finale. I think Moffat had come out with the real goods there, the timey-wimey sort of confusion sort of thing, and the Doctor just trying to explain about what's going on, and you see alternative realities like Winston Churchill as the leader of the entire world sort of thing, or, you know, and it's in Roman times, and Charles Dickens being alive today, and, you know, all that sort of possible reality. And I like how it leads into so many different things in that. It was a really thought out though episode, a really well done episode. So definitely though, The Wedding of River Song is my 3rd favourite episode. Now the top 2 is a little bit more trickier because you know, they're both individual episodes, but they really thought out brilliantly quite well though, really. And I have to give number 2 to The Girl Who Waited. I absolutely like the human psychology of this episode. Tom McRae had written a 2-part story back in Series 2, and I thought, yeah, he could be quite a good writer. And when I heard he came back, I was like, yeah, I'm a bit excited. Let's see what he can actually do. And he pulled it off though with this one, showing off a psychological age of future and past, and that, you know, the Amy, like a future Amy that believed that the Doctor was going to come for her but never did, and all that sort of thing, and this past Amy believing this and that and the other, how changes and human emotion waits on somebody, and that. I just love Rory in this episode. I have to say, it was really thought out, and that it's good character psychology. That, you know, the Doctor, it shows the Doctor being alien and not quite understanding it, and trying to have a bit of a hard time figuring out why. Which, you know, with David Tennant's Doctor, he would have figured it out easily, but would have gotten a bit too emotional about it. But with Matt Smith's Doctor, it's like, okay, you know, he may have gotten something wrong here, and he's getting a bit of a brain for it, which it shows a different side, that okay, he's not the smartest being in that, and I think it's just really thought together in that. Really, really good episode though overall, I have to say. But I have to say though, my number 1 favourite episode of all time, it's not basis of certain elements in there. The monster wasn't great, but however though, the emotion built into the episode and the character psychology and the characters in there, it has to be the Vincent and the Doctor, I have to say. Now, some people would say that is a surprise choice, but however, I really loved how they built into the episode and how the ending comes into play in that. It's just really good about Vincent van Gogh, who has real problems about his own life and that, and thinks he's an absolute failure, and then realises that he is something really special, which some people don't realise at all. And that's what makes Vincent van Gogh, you know. I really love the performance. I can't remember the actor's name of Vincent van Gogh, but I will say though, it was just absolutely brilliant. Really, really thought played, and that. And Richard Curtis, who normally writes for films, and that, he really did a good job though with this episode. I have to say, it's definitely the Vincent and the Doctor is my favourite Matt Smith episode of all at the moment. I mean, it could change though when it comes to Series 7. We'll have to wait and see. And that is my top 5 favourite Matt Smith stories. Thanks very much though for everyone watching, and I will be back next time. I don't know what top 5 it will be, but hopefully I'll be back. Peace. Hey guys.
There you go. Thank you very much, Barry Aldridge. We've had some messages in YouTube. Andrew Oliver says, loves Amy's Choice, a good script by Simon 9, lovely atmosphere. Toby Jones as the Dream Lord is very good. And he continues saying, The Wedding of River Song wasn't that good. Stephen Moffat had a wedding in that last series finale as well. And The Girl Who Waited is one of my favourites. Brilliant list. That's to Barry there. From Andrew Oliver. Any particular
opinions on those?
any particular favourite of yours all time so far from what we've seen of Matt Smith?
The Doctor's Wife.
The Doctor's Wife. Yeah, I would agree as well. Yeah.
That was the strongest one.
Yeah.
And the companions were exactly where they should be. they had just enough to do, but the front and center story was the Doctor and the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And again, that was one I could watch over and over again because the dialogue is so thick and fast that you just don't get it first or second time around.
T. Chalky says, Vincent and the Doctor is a fantastic story, but for me it is eclipsed by the Doctor's wife. Andrew Oliver says, Vincent and the Doctor is beautiful in every way. That ending had me close to tears. Richard Curtis did very well.
I just didn't like the monster.
It's a fantastic story, some fantastic acting. It is let down by the monster, but I don't think
you pull the monster out of there. It's a fantastic story.
Yeah, you don't really watch it for the monster there, do you? You're watching this for, but they almost didn't need a monster in this one, did they?
No, they almost didn't.
It could have just been like a ghost or something in the shadow that didn't need to be seen as a creature.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he had this machine to try and see it, but we didn't really need to actually see it. You know, maybe it only ever saw it as a reflection in the mirror of his contraption. Maybe that's all you needed to see.
Yeah, or you could have just made it a historical, which we don't do anymore. But yeah, you didn't need very much. You didn't need a big monster killing people, especially little kids.
Yeah,
that was unpleasant. It's something that could have been insinuated and worked out as just part of Vincent's illness.
Yeah.
I think they could have just worked it out that way. And it was really, really sweet. And
well, the ending is just, I mean, the ending was,
it was a bit of a tearjerker.
Genuinely tearjerker, as opposed to the sort of sledgehammer tearjerkers you would get from Russell T Davies.
Yeah. What was the other one? Amy's, not Amy's Choice. The Girl Who Waited.
The Girl Who Waited, yeah.
That made me cry. I just went over the top. and I think now it's not fair. He waited 2,000 years for her. She's gonna have a good cry after 30
years, yeah.
Mind you, she got left behind. And she agreed to get left behind.
Indeed. So we'll be looking at the Ace Adventures box set in a few moments, but before that we have our prize draw to win Star Trek The Next Generation Doctor Who crossover comic. I don't know if you can see it there. Signed by Tony Lee. Issue number 1. This is the black and white cover exclusive to Forbidden Planet, so this is not the one that you will see in most comic shops. This is a Forbidden Planet limited edition exclusive cover signed by Tony Lee there. So we asked you to tweet in to enter the competition, and quite a few of you did. We're going to mix up the names. We've got them all in here. Annie would like to pull out a name.
You got one. Yes, I've got only one. Good. Blue, you won!
You just showed up to camera.
Blue box 99.
And just to show,
Good
obviously,
on you.
You can see there all the different entries. Lots of different entries there. But you want to show up the one that actually won there. If that's your Twitter name,
that's her Twitter name, I know Blue.
Then you've won this comic.
But it wasn't my fault. I didn't pull it on purpose.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for entering. Hopefully we'll get some more prizes at one point, and because it's kind of fun to do these prize draws. Always nice to make someone's day. We'll send a DM to that winning Twitter name, BlueBox99, and we'll get your address so we can send it to you.
I'm sure she's watching right now. She's already contacted us once.
We can have a look on Twitter. Oh, she's fainted apparently.
Good girl.
So, let's show the trailer for the Ace box set.
If I were you lot, I'd go for your tea break now.
What's in those cans?
Nitro 9, last one back to gooey mess.
Everybody get down!
Ace! Ace!
Time for a quick adventure, then back to the tea.
Ace! And we're really going to go looking for dragons?
How old are you?
18.
No home to call your own. 12 galaxies are your home.
Hello, not interrupting anything, am I?
What are you doing here?
That's a very difficult question. Why is everyone around here so preoccupied with metaphysics?
I think she's going to kill us, Doctor.
Ah, an existentialist.
I want you to spread terror throughout Iceland.
Did you hear that? Hear what?
It's coming towards us. It's all around us.
Look out! Whoa!
After 3,000 years, the Dragonfire shall be mine.
Do you fancy a quick trip round the 12 galaxies and then back to Perivale in time for tea?
Ace!
Here's my card.
Silas P.
At the side.
But it says...
Happiness Patrol undercover. Time to get really depressed.
Something very nasty's happening here. We've got to put a stop to it. Quickly.
Happiness will prevail.
She's happy and I'm happy.
You look like Killjoyce. Can't you afford a real gun?
You know who the Candyman is, Doctor.
Welcome to the Candy Kitchen.
He's dangerous.
Where are my specimens?
He's doing experiments.
Now, let's see what we've got for you.
Happiness will prevail. Happiness will prevail.
Happiness will prevail. Have a nice day.
Doctor!
There we go. The Ace Adventures box set just came out recently, comprised of Dragonfire and the Happiness Patrol. Dragonfire being the very first Ace story. 2 stories from the Sylvester McCoy years. Do you remember watching these at the time they went out? Because I do.
I didn't because I was in Canada.
No.
So we didn't.
Oh, you only allowed to have Peter Davison in Canada.
Yeah, only Peter Davison for a few months, and then nothing until David Tennant.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, that was
Not
my
even-
reintroduction to
Wow,
Doctor
okay.
Who. So I'm a bit of a newbie, which I think is good because I can give opinions
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, I remember when both of these stories originally went out, and I've actually not seen them since they have been released on DVD. I never actually got the VHS of these ones, so for me to watch this Ace box set is for the first time since the actual broadcast date. So it's kind of interesting to see what I might actually remember of the original broadcasts, or what my feelings were at the time, and the story now. Dragonfire is the final story of Mel as the companion, at the same time introducing Ace. Ace is a young girl, 16-year-old girl from the 20th century who happens to be found in the future on another planet, working as a waitress in an ice bar.
Yeah, and it was a time storm.
A time storm that lifted her out and brought her into this other world, which she seems to settle into quite easily. Gets a job as a waiter.
Time storms. No big deal.
Doesn't seem to make too much of the fact that there's aliens running around, or she seems to accept it all in her stride quite well. But immediately, I think she latches onto the Doctor. She sees this guy could be the way out of where she is stuck. She's stuck here, and this guy's going to bring a bit of adventure into her life, but at the same time get her away from this.
Get her freedom.
And of course, the relationship between the 7th Doctor and Ace, I guess is similar to what we were just saying earlier about Adric not really having the older Doctor to be able to be his mentor. because Peter Davison was just so young. You know, here we got another very young character, companion, you know, 16 years old.
Sylvester McCoy was
Sylvester McCoy was easily able to become, you know, the mad uncle.
Yeah, and well, fatherly even. Very much so in some of the later episodes.
Yes.
You know, the arm around the shoulders and the advice, and just he was very fatherly with her, which was very undoctorly. Although it harkens back to the original Doctor.
Yeah, it does.
They keep doing that, which is really nice. They will harken back to another Doctor, another companion, and bring it forward. And I really like that. What I did like too was her relationship with Mel.
Yes.
Because for the first, well, for a lot of it, she and Mel are together.
Yes.
And you can see the difference in the two actresses, which was a bit vast. But it was also interesting because it showed that anybody who was used to Mel was ready to see her go.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I remember that feeling, you know, watching this originally, is that, you know, finally we're going to get rid of Mel. And, you know, because I couldn't stand her at the time. You know, rewatching the stories now, you know, from Trial of the Time Lord through to this particular story, I actually don't find her as objectionable now than I did before, back in the 80s.
Well,
you know, she has horrible scenes where she has to scream, but you take those scenes away, and the rest of the time she's actually an okay companion. You know, she's an intelligent young woman who she's the continuation of what Nyssa was. They were trying to do with Nyssa, but they didn't quite do it. I guess because she was too young. She was too young.
Well, I mean, they had too many companions. She was capable of it. They just didn't give her the screen time.
Yeah.
And the lines. She just sort of sat there working on the TARDIS most of the time.
Yours Creative says, yes, Ace, totally love her and her adventures. Is there no way to see her back for the 50th anniversary? Doctor Who Confan says, I love these stories. Ace rocks. T. Chalky says, I remember watching them. Ace was like a breath of fresh air after Mel. Doctor Who Confan says to me, I find Mel more annoying now. Will I just shut up?
Sorry.
Well, no,
his show. He doesn't have to.
I, you know, and you know, Big Finish have actually just signed up Bonnie Langford to do some companion stories.
Have they? Mind you, she's matured another 20 years, so
absolutely. You know, it's not her fault they made her scream all the time. You know, they brought her on. You know, Bonnie Langford was quite famous for screaming because she, as a child actor, she had done a series. I think it was Just William, where she was the annoying girl who would do lots of screaming, and so I guess that's sort of John Nathan Turner in his sort of very strange way that he liked to cast people in the 80s. You know, he wanted sort of very gimmick casting. You know, and you see this a lot in throughout the 80s. And of course, you know, so he brought Bonnie Langford, but unfortunately, he brought with her the scream, which, like I said, if you remove the scream, other times she was completely okay as a companion. She could, you know, she kind of fitted in okay.
She seemed fine in this one.
Yeah.
She seemed just fine, and the two of them played off each other quite comfortably.
Yeah.
And then the Doctor came in, and I felt he was refreshing in this one. He's
sort of, I mean, this is Sylvester McCoy's fourth story now, but this is he's sort of really settled into it now, you know.
Yeah, and
it was a shaky start with Time in the Rani. But he's now found his foot by this point. He knows what his Doctor is.
And his subtle physical comedy.
Yes, which he got to do a lot of in this.
Yes, and he pulled a lot off, and he did it very well. And his line delivery as well. He was just very smooth. very smooth. I got to see him the other day too.
Very lucky you.
Yes, but he was freezing as well.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was.
But no, I was also happy with the look of this one.
Yeah.
The production values.
Dragonfire with the ice walls, and you know they built sets. They actually, you know, there's some good looking sets on this particular story. This ice world.
There is a bit too much pink now and again because it was the 80s, but overall it was good. The monster, the dragon,
yeah,
was lovely. He was just
he
beautiful.
kind of looks like the alien's mother, but from Aliens, but,
yes,
but it's like the friendly version, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So he was just lovely. I liked him a lot. So
and actually it was a pretty workable suit. You know, if you think about some of the rubber suits they've had in the 80s, this was probably one of the better ones that actually does kind of work. Yeah,
I bought it. I bought it. I believed it. So that was fine. Whereas, as you say, the 80s, in the 70s, it was the same monsters they were making in the 60s, but they didn't pull them off as well because they were in color. And when you're in color, it shows everything. There's no black and white mask and shadows and all of that. So any monster you see, well, it's a rare monster you see in the 80s and 70s. That's a good one.
Now, and of course, the bad guy is this criminal. He turns out, you discover he's a criminal, but of course at the time you think he's sort of the ruler of this particular planet. But actually, the planet is a prison and it's there to hold it, you know, to keep him there. But what they wear these white, totally white militaristic uniforms. And I was thinking about this as I was watching it. If you watch a lot of Sylvester McCoy's stories, most of the times the bad guys are all in very sort of militaristic uniforms. There's almost I don't know if it was a sense of the writers of this particular period, but there's almost like this, the Doctor as the anti-authoritarian figure, because there's always an authority that he's trying to.
Did he ever work with you then?
Yes, he does. Yeah, in Battlefield.
Okay.
But they're all, you know, sort of. I mean, these are these white military uniforms they're wearing. They're like World War One German uniforms with the round helmets and the spikes, and but you know, Delta Bannerman again. The bad guys are a military organisation. In the Happiness Patrol, it's a government, you know, government that's imposed.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Sylvester McCoy's Doctor always seems to be fighting an authority, you know, and it's be interesting to see if anyone else agrees, you know, whether is this part of Andrew Cartmel, the script editor of this period, you know, did he have this sort of anti-authoritarian streak that he was trying to push into these stories, you know?
Or was it the era?
Or was it the era? It was the 1980s. It was Thatcher, you know. Thatcher had been around for a few years, you know.
And 88, the fall of the Soviet Union.
Fall of the Soviet Union, yeah. Perestroika.
Yeah, right at that period.
Berlin Wall falling down. There's, you know, there could be a theme which has obviously been added in there on purpose, perhaps.
Perhaps, or it was in the air.
Doctor Who Confan says, for me, the melting of Kane's face to date is the scariest moment of Doctor Who. Very Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, now when I rewatched this, I just seeing Kane melt, you think it's actually quite disgusting. You think, wow, I can't believe they got away with that on a children's television show.
TV.
You know, that went out at, you know, 7:30 on a Thursday night, I think it was, probably. That was, you know, that's prime time, but still within the kids' prime time.
And yet today they get away with a lot worse.
They do, yeah. You can have proper blood and stuff. I mean, I guess it turns sort of pinkish. But it was a great special effect at the end there. And of course the other thing that Dragonfire has, of course, it's the return of Glitz, who we haven't seen since the Trial of the Time Lord story.
Oh,
yeah, and of course he has that moment where he is told this is the Doctor, and of course he's expecting to see Colin Baker, but it's not.
He's changed up.
But he was a great character, and this is one of those sort of guest star characters that actually it would be kind of nice to have come back for a story. You know, he's settled his spaceship somewhere and is now running, you know, this space casino or something, you know, where all the dregs of the thieves and the dregs of society go to it's kind of, it writes itself, you know. He's that character. He can easily be brought back.
He could be brought back, except that only the classic Whovians, not my contemporary Whovians, would recognize him.
But you don't need to, because it's literally, it's the character, you know, it's really the character. It's nice for the long-term fans, but it doesn't really matter if no one's seen him before. It's just, you know, he's running the cantina on Tatooine type of place, you know, because that's the sort of thing he would do, you know, anything to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
So the Happiness Patrol.
Big Captain Jack.
Happiness Patrol, again, you know, an anti-authority story. The Doctor and Ace arrive on a planet which is in the future. It's an Earth colony where they've imposed a government of enforced happiness.
Yes.
And if you're not happy, you're a killjoy, and killjoys have to go to the waiting room.
And I immediately looked at that and thought about the Macra story in the Second Doctor period.
Yeah.
The happiness theme park area where people went to live, and they were all being controlled, mind controlled.
Yes.
So I thought that's digging right back into the past and creating something new out of it.
Yeah. And for those who haven't yet seen it, the Happiness Patrol are essentially the police of this government, who are all leggy women in very short skirts.
See, they weren't the first time. Well, they were cheerleaders in it the first time.
They kind of look like cheerleaders, yeah. Not unpleasant to look at, I have to say. You can see why they're used for enforced happiness, I suppose. So the Doctor tries to get to the root of what's really going on this planet. Ace gets involved, and they get captured, and the Doctor meets the guy who's the creature who is responsible for dishing out the punishment, and he looks like a giant sweet, a creature made of giant sweets.
Not like him.
All sorts. If you like all sorts licorice, just imagine building a man out of that.
Maybe that's what it was. I don't like all sorts.
Now I remember hating this creature back in the 80s when I first saw it. Thing, what are they doing? This is ridiculous. How can you have a giant all sorts creature, Bass's all sort? But then rewatching it again, and actually you're seeing the detail of it, and you think it's got this sort of crusty, sugary skin that's all sort of half melted, and actually it's the nightmare version of a sweet. You know, it looks horrible. It looks unpleasant. This is not a sweet that you want to have.
No,
it's manky, it's disgusting, and it's like, if you have a phobia of licorice, then this is your ultimate, you know, this is your ultimate nightmare. So maybe for a children's program at the time, it wasn't such a bad idea for a creature. You know, it is
looking at it at the time.
You know,
but at the now, and the Doctor stopped it by getting its feet wet, and it melted to the floor. It stuck to the floor. I was like, what kind of monster gets stuck
he's
to
got
the
marshmallow feet. You know, they melt. You know, he is actually made of sweets. That's the bizarre thing about it.
Yeah, and I didn't like that. I thought they could have done something.
Like he should have been a robot, and that was just sort of some sort of fake skin or something.
Something. I mean, they'd done it 20, 30 years earlier.
Yeah.
Better. I thought the monsters were not good, but at least you couldn't really tell.
I actually thought it was quite fun. It's not one of the greatest stories, but there's definitely a great idea there. The sets look good, but it does feel very small, you know, unfortunately.
It feels on the cheap.
Again, they make use of vehicles in Doctor Who, and throughout the 70s and 80s, whenever they have vehicles driving through corridors, you always kind of wonder, why are they driving in these vehicles? Because you can run faster than these vehicles can drive. and that's been throughout the 70s and the 80s. I mean, there's funny vehicles that just don't go very fast at all. Yet everyone's saying, "Oh, quickly drive and go quickly."
Depends how long your corridors are. Remember the Waters of Mars and wanting to...
Oh, the endless corridors, yes.
Yeah,
sure.
Ending up with the... I can't remember what they're called.
But they have CGI which can create those effects now. But back then they couldn't. They had to use real corridors. There's something about the Happiness Patrol that makes it like this should have been much better. It's a great idea. I do like the idea of it a lot because, you know,
people controlled.
It's about brainwashing, it's about controlling people, and the Doctor and Ace are there to create anarchy.
And it had been done in 1968.
Well, it's not an unfamiliar story. It's a story that's happened quite a few times over the years.
Yeah, and it's just sad when you see it done poorly, when it's already been done well.
Yeah.
So this one was not done well.
But you know, it's a Sylvester McCoy one. There's only one more Sylvester McCoy left to be released on DVD, and that's The Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
How many are there altogether?
They are 12 stories, plus Doctor Who the movie, which is his 13th story. Yeah. Which is unlucky for him because that's when he regenerates.
Gets shot first of all.
He gets shot, yes. Yeah, but it's... I kind of liked it. I wanted to like it more. I think Dragonfire, on the box set, the Dragonfire or the Happiness Patrol, Dragonfire has the edge because it's introducing Ace, and just has a bit more... It's stronger. It's strong. It's stronger all over. Yeah, it's got
the writing, the performances, the monster.
Yeah, and it's both stories are only 3 episodes long. But Dragonfire, you kind of felt actually they could have had, if they had the 4th story, you could have seen the extra stuff that they could have added into it. You know, they could have probably done more. I think with the creature who ends up having to be killed a bit too earlier than you kind of think it should have been killed.
Yes, I was surprised at how quickly they took it out, because I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
At all, that was a surprise.
The creature, he sacrifices himself, really, as well.
An honourable creature.
An honourable creature. Yours Creative tweeting at Doctor Who Con fan says, "I'm with you. The 7th Doctor is awesome." Doctor Who Con fans says, "People who slate the 7th Doctor haven't watched his stories." Doctor Who Con fans also says, "Glitz was a wonderful character, rough and ready, but not entirely evil. A diamond in the rough." So.
Well, having seen Sylvester McCoy in person,
yeah,
definitely you can see his doctor.
So, did you watch the panels with them?
I'm not sure they did panels.
Well, there was a panel that was reported in where Tom Baker says that he would be open to the idea if he was asked and it was right to return for the 50th anniversary.
Oh, okay, so there was one. We didn't. We stayed for.
And Colin Baker said absolutely not.
Did he?
He wouldn't. Yeah.
He doesn't want to wear that suit again.
I don't think he could fit in the suit again.
Yeah, I think it's a mixed bag about who would and who wouldn't.
Yeah.
But we definitely didn't stay that long because I was dying. I didn't expect to stay as long as we did because it was with Tom Othon who took me.
Yeah.
And he went and he had his photograph taken with the 5 doctors.
With all 5 doctors, they were there. Absolutely. How exciting.
Which was quite neat. And I snuck into the room and watched the whole thing happen. Which was quite interesting to watch them all and how they react and what they do. And then as we were leaving, he said to me, "Oh, well, we can't leave now because Peter Davison's doing a signing. So I have to get my book signed." Oh, okay. So went up to the table and there's only 2 actors. And Sylvester McCoy was one of them.
Yeah.
But he came in and he was hilarious. He's on the phone with his son, Joe. He said, "Joe, I'm just walking into the convention. Say hi to Joe, everybody." He was a hoot. He had tons of energy. Just full of energy.
Well, Tom is saying on the live comments that you actually missed the panel because of the queuing up you had to do for the photograph with the 5 doctors. It was, but of course, Sylvester McCoy. I think the next time we all see him will be in The Hobbit. I believe.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, he'd be a good Hobbit.
I don't know if he's actually a Hobbit,
but
that's the next time we'll be seeing. I'm not sure what his character is in The Hobbit, but I think that's the next time we'll be seeing him on screen.
I think he'd still be a good Hobbit.
I think he probably would. Yeah.
Well, that's quite wonderful.
Great. Well, hope you had a good time.
Oh, fabulous.
Good. What are you next gonna? What's in your DVD player next to watch from Doctor Who?
Oh, we have to get the Last of the Sarah Jane Chronicles, and that's going to be difficult because my youngest is still grieving.
Yeah.
So he's not sure he wants to watch them, but that'll be the next in the series. And of course, I'm not quite sure how things are going to come out in Canada.
Yeah.
With you guys have 5 stories.
It'll be 5 stories, the
September.
Christmas special, and then 2013 was the next batch.
So there won't be a box set.
I guess there'll be a box set of the first 5, then a Christmas, and then the next lot, the next 7, and then a complete box set later, probably next summer, I guess.
There's 7 in 13.
I believe it's I think it's.
I thought there were more than that.
What is it? 8. There's 8. Yeah, 8 in 2013.
It was one whole more than that.
So yes, I think they're going to take it right up until Amy and Rory's final story, and I guess there's a few weeks gap until the Christmas one.
Yeah. And
then I don't know when they'll kick it off in 2013, whether they'll go quite early or wait until Easter. Who knows?
They need some time to get up and running, don't they?
Who knows?
Especially if they've been shooting straight through the Christmas.
Well, they'll be. Yeah, I'm not sure how long the schedule is, but I guess they'll be filming for several more months now, because I think Jenna Coleman's only just really started recently on the shooting. You know.
No, didn't have they had a 9 months shooting schedule.
Yeah.
So that must be almost done. Well, it's June, so we're getting there.
Here we are indeed. Let's just check Twitter. Any final comments? Goth Allwards is not watching Big Brother because he's sticking with Talking Who.
We beat Big Brother. Thank you so much.
Tom Wharton has just said that Sylvester McCoy is no longer on Twitter. I did not know that. And Doctor Who Con fans is going to buy me a beer at the 11th hour. Thank you very much. That would be much appreciated. I'm looking forward to the 11th hour next weekend.
It should be fun.
And I don't know what time those who are going for the whole weekend are planned to arrive on Friday, but maybe Friday late afternoon, early evening, which is sort of do our tweet up meet up and we can all hang out and meet each other, because it'll be, you know, the first time a lot of us will have met on the flesh. You know, it's all been on Twitter so far, so we'll do that. And
there's a large Twitter.
There's a large Twitter contingent. Yeah. And so it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun, really, just because we're all going to be there, meeting each other, enjoying each other's company, and hopefully not just being Twitter friends, but becoming real life friends. And you know, we've got a whole weekend just to get to know each other. So it's going to be, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to it.
Dressing up in silly costumes.
What?
The girl party in my room. Don't forget, ladies.
What, have you got a costume?
I've got a costume. I'm River Song.
Okay.
Because.
Do you have a wig?
Oh, I have a wig. I have everything. Because someone, I believe it was you.
Yeah.
Recommended that I interview Alex Kingston as River Song. So. If I can manage that, I will manage that.
Tom Morton says, "Well done, Annie, for being on here, for doing your show." Great. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. Next time I talk to some of you who are watching now, will actually be at the 11th hour in the flesh. That's quite exciting.
Are you doing Talking Who from there?
I'm not sure entirely, and if we can, we might maybe just do like a pre-recorded one. We could do that. I'm not sure we'll be able to do one live because I actually don't know what the internet situation is at the hotel.
At Hilton, it should be pretty darn good.
Well, it should be, but then if there are lots of people using it, it can be a bit haphazard as well. And I don't even know whether we can actually use it for free, you know, because they might have to pay you to use it every 5 minutes or something. It's something like, you know, £5 a minute or something ridiculous like that.
Or my video diary's going to go down.
So who knows? Thanks for watching. See some of you next week at the 11th hour. For everybody else,
thank you.
Keep tuned to twitter.com/TalkingWho to find out when we're going to be back on the air with the show. And don't forget to subscribe at youtube.com/ThoseVideoGuysTV. And see you.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching.